Hi, hope you all are keeping your spirits high and your hearts strong in these difficult times. I'm Smritee Raghubalan, here to add a bit of joy and comfort through a heartwarming story which endeavors to take you back to the nostalgic bygone era of 1970s. Thank you for joining me in this book reading session of my debut novel, The Call of the Mahua, the first in Tribal Tryst series of heartwarming, gentle medical romances. Since this is the first reading, I think I should begin by introducing you to Tara and Arjun, the protagonists of the novel. Tara McHardy, yes, you guessed it right, of Irish descent, is 24 years old, shy but spirited fourth-year nurse at Major Sherwood Memorial Hospital, balancing her studies, work, and supporting her ailing mother. The suave and stern Dr. Arjun Zalso, a pediatric heart surgeon, is on deputation at the Sherwoods to set up the pediatric ITU. His mother, Mama Maria, belongs to a tribal clan, but is outcast because she had married a Dutch researcher. Then there's Sam, Dr. Zalso's nephew, and a very adorable mongrel, Mishri, who's everybody's adopted pet. Even though these gentle romances are a series, Tara and Arjun shall always be close to my heart. In a way, their story got written on its own. When I happened to have a writer's block, it was as if Tara and Arjun held my hand, made me tell their story, coming in my daydreams and weaving their ballad of love. So if that got you interested enough, let me give you a small glimpse of their story. Here goes. Tara wanted to remind him that this was India, not Holland. Here, her reputation will be torn to shreds if the grapevine caught that a nurse was having tea with a consultant in his chamber at 10:30 in the night. What should she do? Go tell him that she had just discovered tea leaves in the pantry were exhausted, or the heater wasn't working, or the milk got over? Oh, what could she do? She knew there was sufficient milk for 2 cups. She sat down at the desk, removed and pushed her spectacles in the top drawer again, and sat rubbing her forehead. She suddenly remembered where she had heard the surname Zalso before. It was a tribal baby admitted at the wards 6 months ago. Goodness gracious, did the doctor belong to a tribal clan too? She was curious how he ended up doing medicine in Holland, his manners and bearing so polished too. She suddenly hit upon a scheme to come out of her predicament. Ginger tea she did make using the milk that was left and poured all the sweet, hot, refreshing beverage into one oversized tea mug. Now she could tell him that there was milk for only 1 cup, and it wouldn't be a lie too. Pleased with her ingenuity, she quietly walked to the doctor's chamber, carrying the tray with the tea and some biscuits, knocked and entered when he bid her to. He was studying the neatly drawn plans in front of him, his vast solid wood table strewn with various kinds of documents, and her hands itched to straighten all of them. She found a gap, placed the tray on the table, and his eyes narrowed on the solitary tea mug. She mumbled her ready excuse, and he said sternly, "Do sit down, nurse," simultaneously bending to retrieve a paper cup from one of the lower drawers. Checkmate. He poured half the contents of the mug into the paper cup deftly and placed it in front of her, saying mockingly, "Cheers to ginger tea." Tara had no option but to sit and drink from the paper cup, which she did, taking in big gulps of the hot beverage, scalding her mouth in the process, just wanting to get out of the consultant's room before anyone happened to come. She made up her mind that she would make him realize that just because she was the only one on the ward, he couldn't assume that he could chat her up. Before she was done with him today, she would rub it in that Tara McHardy was not available for passing anyone's time, let alone a married doctor with a kid. She didn't realize that her mortification was clearly visible on her face as she sat reflecting, looking at him drinking his tea. The doctor unexpectedly leaned forward, halfway across the table, fairly close, and stated unexpectedly, "You stare quite intently, nurse. Do I pass? I wonder if you are even able to see me clearly without your glasses. You can't now, can you?" So close to the truth was he that Tara just sat there and blinked some more, the wild musk making her even more tongue-tied. He waited for an answer, and when none came, he leaned back again in his chair. He looked into her eyes and continued, "Your mother named you Tara. I wonder if you were born with stars in your eyes." The mention of her mother made Tara jump up from the chair. Her eyes smarting up, she flashed at him. "I'll be getting back to the ward now, doctor. It's late, and you would do well to get back to your wife and son, who I'm sure must be waiting for their share of time with you. A pleasant night to you, sir." She was at the door now, and just before exiting, she turned and had the deepest satisfaction of witnessing that the doctor had spluttered over his tea. It was now his turn to be tongue-tied. Dr. Zalso looked at the closed door incredulously. "A wife? I have a wife? And a kid too?" He sat rubbing his chin. Now, where did she get this piece from? It was news to him, a much unmarried man. This hospital must have a lousy grapevine. He frowned, losing all concentration in his work, snapped the light shut, left his chamber, walking away briskly to the parking, and drove back home, scowling darkly all the way. The doctor refused to admit to himself that it bothered him no end that she believed him to be a sort of man who would ask for another woman's company when he had a wife and kid to go home to. All this just for a cup of tea? And why am I in a thunderous rage anyway, when there is no wife and no kid at all? He frowned darkly and swore loudly, "Damnation." Hope you liked that small bit, and if you did, you could get a copy of the Call of the Mahua through the purchase links in the description. I hope you find it a cozy, relaxing read, curled up in your sofa. This video is the first in a succession of book reading sessions of the novel. So, look out for the next episode. See you soon. Please like and share the video.